Hey fans, this is going to be a video introducing you to angle notation, some of the basic facts which you may already know, and then looking at some examples of how we can use that notation with more complex diagrams. This is going to be the first video in a playlist, so if you're not watching the playlist, make sure you go to the playlist section and then follow that series of videos so that you can have all of the angle knowledge that you need. So we'll get started by doing a definition of what an angle is. So see if you can think in your head of how you would define what an angle is, and then I'm going to show you the definition. So an angle is formed when two lines meet at a point. So an example here, there's no angle on the left because you can see the lines don't meet each other. And on the right hand side, you can see where the two lines meet, which we call a vertex. It forms an angle. And the two lines that kind of form the angle, sometimes we call them arms as well. Now, an angle is a measure of a turn. That's going to be the definition of what an angle is. And we know, or you might already know, that angles are measured in degrees. So, for example, a 30 degree angle would be written as 30 with a small circle there. And a 30 degree turn is what we might be referring to when we say a 30 degree angle. So there are 6 main types of angles you need to be familiar with, and you may already know all of these. And there's specific definitions that each of them have as well, or criteria. I'm going to do the first one and see if you can do the rest. So first one, you may already know this one yourself, is this is an acute angle. And it's an acute angle because it's less than 90 degrees. So see if you can fill out the rest. Copy these into your books if you haven't already got these, or if you're not familiar with all of these. Pause the video if you need more time. I'm going to go through the rest now. So this is going to be a right angle triangle. Now normally you would actually have a right angle written like that. You'd have on the diagram, you draw a square. Unless you see that, you can't assume it's a right angle. So really that should be a square, little right angle shown there. So we would call this a right angle, and that has to be exactly 90 degrees. The following one here, we can see that if it was 90 degrees, that's where it would be. That's very badly drawn, but you can see that this is bigger than 90 and it's less than 180. So this is called an obtuse angle. So between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Notice it doesn't include 90 and 180 because 90 would mean it's a right angle and 180 would mean it's the following, which we call a straight angle. A straight angle is going to be 180 degrees. The following one here, now we can see there is a right angle here, but this is referring to the outside part. So the outside part would be a reflex angle. And a reflex angle is greater than 180 degrees. So anything greater than 180 degrees. Now, if it reaches a specific point where it turns back onto itself, then this is called a full rotation. So you can see the arms are on top of each other, and the angle is a full turn. You can also call it a full turn if you want to. And this is of course going to be 360 degrees. So if you were to turn 360 degrees, you'd end up facing the same direction again. So let's look at some examples. If you want to do this matching activity, you can do. Otherwise, skip ahead in the video. So I'm just going to show you the answers to this. So we can see that's going to be this one is a right angle. It's going to be equal to 90. This one is a obtuse angle, which is in between 90 and 180. This is an acute angle, which is less than 90, and then this is a reflex angle. All right, let's move on to a true or false here. Decide whether the following is true or false. If it's false, make a correction. So this angle diagram shows an acute angle because it's smaller than 90 degrees, true or false. Have a look at all of these questions and then I'm going to show the answers. All right, so I can see that the first one is true. The second one is a reflex angle because we're looking at the outside part rather than the inside. And technically we shouldn't really say outside, inside, but it's acute and, or in this case, obtuse and reflex. So the blue line is the reflex angle. And then we've got the next one is an acute angle. This is false because it's slightly more than 90 degrees, you can see by observation. This one, the next one is an acute angle. This is false because the acute angle would be this one here, not the blue one. So we're going to say this is false. And then the last one, is that an acute angle? Yes, it's less than 90, so that's true. Right, we are going to be looking at angle notation in the next video. Smash the like button.